Back in the summer of 2016, Focus brought two new bikes to the market. There was the 01E, a cross-country race bike with about 100 mil of travel at the back, and the Focus Jam, which is their trail bike. Focus sent us the Jam Lite. This is one of their alloy bikes and comes in at £3,000. The Jam family sits around Focus's new Fold suspension design, which stands for Focus Optimized Linkage Design. It's a bit of an acronym, but basically what it means is it's a linkage-driven single pivot. Where the Fold design differs from other single pivot but linkage-driven designs is that the suspension curve on this particular bike is degressive up until the sag point and then progressive after it. The reason for this, so Focus say, is that it gives excellent small bump sensitivity and increases traction in the early part of the stroke. Obviously then, as the bike goes through its travel, you want that extra progressivity to prevent bottoming out. The Focus is one of the few bikes in this year's Trail Bike of the Year with SRAM's XO1 Eagle group set. Where this differs from the usual 11-speed group is that A, there's 12 gears, and B, the gear range goes from 10 teeth up to 50, obviously matched to the chainring of your choice. Focus are known for offering great value for money on their bikes, but in order to fit Eagle they have to have taken some cuts elsewhere. For example, there's only a Shimano DL brake set, which isn't particularly high-end, but it does work really well, and also we found that the tyres really weren't to our liking. The rest of the spec is relatively solid. There's a RockShox Yari fork and a RockShox Monarch shock at the back. Most of the finishing kit comes from their in-house brand Concept, and that includes the wheels and the cockpit, the saddle and the seat post. The seat post is their own dropper post with 120 mil of travel.
The Focus Jam is a brand new bike for the German company this year, and it's one that's impressed us from the very first time we've ridden it. It scored well and showed a lot of promise in its carbon fibre factory format when we had it on a prelim test earlier in the year, but we've been really surprised with how much fun we've had on the alloy bike. While the paintwork certainly stands out on the trail, it's a bike that's quite quiet to begin with in terms of how it approaches stuff. The alloy frame means it's not super light, but you've got an Eagle transmission on there. That's SRAM's latest 12-speed setup, and it is a beautiful thing to put your power onto the trail through. It's not just a case of wider gear ratios either. It's just so immaculately engineered and rethought. It's basically transformed the mountain bike transmission in terms of efficiency, in terms of wear. Even if you rarely use that big 50-tooth cog, it's just a fantastic system to feed power to, whether it's through the shifters or through your feet through the pedals. It's a beautiful way to power a bike, and at this price point, it's a really impressive piece of spec. Rather than just using the older linkage system off the SAM bike, their longer travel bike, which we previously had in Trail Bike of the Year, they've got a whole new Fold Linkage. It looks a bit complex, but it's essentially just a single pivot that drives the shock vertically down from above. But it works brilliantly. Even the first time we rode this bike in the Forest of Dean, we were really impressed with the way it had really smooth, really tactile traction over small routes, over rocks, whether we were under power or just cruising. Where the Fold Linkage really shines though are those moments you drop your heels, keep your hands off the brakes and just trust the bike. Even though it's only got 140 mil of travel, it feels like a lot more. I mean, that's a cliche, but in this instance, it really does. It takes the big stuff, but it's the mid-stroke where it really excels. It's just on point. The bike rides really well in its travel, and it's constantly interested in keeping traction. It's gripping. It's just grip all the way down the trail. The one thing that's not gripping are the tyres, and if you notice on some of the shots, we've already swapped out the front tyre because the harder compound Continentals it comes with really can't match up to the ability and potential of this bike. We've switched the tyre to an E13 TRS-R. It's one of our favourite super grippy aggro tyres, and it just shows the potential of this bike. I mean, obviously having to spend a bit extra on tyres is a bit of a pain, but when you're getting an Eagle transmission and a really well sorted spec otherwise, I think a front tyre is allowable. And the fact we fitted one of our favourite aggro high grip Enduro tyres to the Focus to really let it rip just tells you everything you need to know about the bike. We've loved it out here on the technical trails in Spain, and we reckon you'll love it wherever you take it.
So the Jam seems to round out Focus's product lineup really well. If you do want a big travel Enduro sled, then yep, the SAM is a great bike for that. But the Jam pedals a lot better than the SAM does back up a hill, and yet still has that slight descending bias. It's also a great way to get hold of a SRAM Eagle group set if that matters to you at this price point. So what we have is a great all-day trail bike for those who do kind of want to push harder on the descents.